before you ask anyone for anything again. Watch this. Because one wrong sentence, one small sign of hesitation, and people instantly lose respect for you. Not later. Immediately. That's why some people keep getting opportunities, while you keep getting ignored. Not because they're smarter, but because they've mastered something you haven't. The art of asking. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Every time you ask from need, you quietly tell the world. Backhand index pointing right. I'm not in control. Backhand index pointing right. I need this more than you do. And the moment they feel that, you've already lost. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. But when you ask the wrong way, you hand that power away." This is why you've been overlooked. Why people delay responding to you. Why your requests feel weak. Not because you don't deserve it, but because your approach kills your authority before you even finish speaking. Stay with me till the end. Because today, through Stoicism and a powerful Stoic mindset, you're going to learn the art of asking, how to get whatever you want, without begging, chasing, or losing respect. And if you're ready to become someone people take seriously, like, subscribe, and comment below, Stoic Power. Because what you're about to learn, most people never will. 1. Control the frame before you ask. Before words comes perception. Before logic comes emotion. And before anyone decides what to say to you, they've already decided who you are. This is where most people fail in the art of asking. They focus on what to say, but completely ignore how they're being seen. If people see you as unsure, they resist. If they see you as grounded, they listen. Not because your request changed, but because you did. Think about it. Have you ever watched someone walk into a room, say very little, yet somehow command attention? And then another person walks in, talks more, explains more, tries harder, yet gets ignored? That's not communication. That's framing. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." This is the foundation of Stoicism and the Stoic mindset. You don't wait for the world to respect you. You decide who you are, before the interaction even begins. Because here's the truth most people never realize. People don't respond to your request. They respond to their perception of you. So if your internal state is, "I hope they say yes. I don't want to mess this up. I need this opportunity," that energy leaks out. Not through your words, but through your posture, eye contact, tone, pace of speech, and even your silence. The ask starts before you speak. Your posture, are you closed or open? Tense or relaxed? Your tone, is it shaky or steady? Your timing, are you rushing or choosing your moment? All of this communicates one thing: certainty or lack of it. And certainty is magnetic. Uncertainty is repulsive. This is why in the art of asking, how to get whatever you want, the real work is internal. Because when your identity is weak, your request becomes weak. But when your identity is strong, even a simple sentence becomes powerful. Let's make this practical. Imagine two people asking for the same opportunity. Person 1 says, I was just wondering if maybe, I could possibly. They trail off. They smile nervously. They fill the silence with more words. Now compare that to someone who says, I'd like to take this on. Here's what I can deliver. Then they stop. No rush. No apology. No over-explaining. Same request. Different outcome. Why? Because one person is asking for permission, and the other is presenting value. That's the difference a Stoic mindset creates. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily. You have power over your mind, not outside events. And that includes how you show up. Because when you master your inner state, you control the frame. And when you control the frame, you control how people respond to you. But here's where it gets deeper. Most people try to fake confidence. They try to act strong, speak louder, force eye contact. But people can feel the difference between true grounded presence and forced confidence. One is calm. The other is tense. One is silent when needed. The other talks to prove something. In Stoicism, power is quiet. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need approval. It simply is. So before you ask for anything, pause and ask yourself, am I centered? Am I calm? Am I okay with any outcome? Because if the answer is no, fix that first. Not your words, your state. Because once your state is right, your words naturally align, and something powerful happens. People stop questioning you. They stop resisting you. They start listening. Not because you forced them, but because your presence made them want to. And this is where most people miss the point of Stoicism. It's not about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering it. So when you walk into any situation, you're not reactive. You're intentional. And intention creates influence. So remember this. You don't ask for respect. You embody it first. And once you do, your requests stop sounding like requests. They start sounding like decisions. People don't respond to your words. They respond to who they think you are. 2. Make people feel it's their idea. This is subtle, but powerful. And once you understand this, it will completely change how you approach the art of asking, how to get whatever you want. Because here's the truth. People don't like being told what to do, even when it's good for them, even when it benefits them. The moment someone feels pressured, they resist. Not always out loud, but internally. They hesitate. They delay. They question. Why? Because control is one of the deepest human desires. People want to feel like they are choosing, not being pushed. And this is where most people fail. They think persuasion is about convincing, explaining more, pushing harder. But Stoicism teaches something different. Influence doesn't come from force. It comes from alignment. Epictetus believed in working with human nature, not against it. So instead of forcing your idea, you guide people toward it. You let them arrive there. And when they do, they don't feel controlled. They feel empowered. Let's break this down. Instead of saying, "Do this for me," you shift to, "Wouldn't it make sense if we approached it this way? What do you think about trying this? How do you see this playing out if we did it like this?" Now something changes. You've invited them into the process. You've given them space to think. And most importantly, you've given them ownership. And ownership changes everything. Because when people feel like an idea is theirs, they defend it. They commit to it. They execute it better. This is why great leaders don't command. They guide. They ask questions. They create direction without pressure. Seneca said, "A wise man will make more opportunities than he finds." And this is how you create opportunity in the art of asking. Not by demanding, but by positioning. Now let's go deeper. Think about a time someone tried to force something on you. Maybe they pushed too hard, explained too much, didn't give you space to think. What did you feel? Resistance. Even if what they said made sense. Now think about someone who asked for your opinion, who listened, who made you feel involved. You were more open, more willing, more engaged. That's the difference. Because the strongest persuasion feels like freedom, not control. And this is where your Stoic mindset becomes your advantage. Because Stoics don't rush. They don't push. They observe. They understand human behavior. And then they act with precision. So when you're about to ask for something, slow down. Instead of thinking, "How do I get them to say yes?" Think, "How do I make this feel like their decision?" That shift alone will transform your results. Because now you're not trying to win. You're trying to align. And alignment creates agreement naturally. Let's make it even more practical. Instead of saying, "I need you to support this idea," you say, "I've been thinking about a direction that could benefit both of us. I'd like your thoughts on it." Now they lean in. They're curious. They're involved. And as they begin to agree with parts of your idea, something powerful happens. They start convincing themselves. And self-conviction is the strongest form of persuasion. You didn't force it. You facilitated it. That's mastery. That's the art of asking through Stoicism. But here's the key most people miss. This only works if it's genuine. If you're pretending to involve them, people will feel it. If you're secretly trying to manipulate, it backfires. Because authenticity is part of the Stoic mindset. You're not tricking people. You're aligning with them. You're respecting their autonomy. And in return, they respect you more. So next time you ask for something, don't rush to speak. Don't rush to convince. Instead, create space. Ask thoughtful questions. Guide the direction. And let them arrive at the conclusion. Because when they do, they won't just agree. They'll believe. The strongest persuasion feels like freedom, not control. If you're finding value in this, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below, Stoic Mindset. Because these are the principles that separate men who are ignored from men who get what they want, without chasing. 3. Ask once, never chase. This is where most people lose everything. Not at the beginning. Not when they ask. But right after. They ask. Then follow up. Then explain again. Then, just checking in. Then another message. Then another justification. And without realizing it, they turn a simple request into a slow display of desperation. And just like that, your value drops. Not because your request was wrong, but because your behavior after the ask destroyed your position. This is one of the most overlooked principles in the art of asking, how to get whatever you want. People don't judge you only by what you say. They judge you by what you do after you say it. And chasing sends a very clear signal. I need this. I'm waiting on you. You have the power here. And the moment someone feels that shift, the dynamic changes. You go from equal to dependent, from respected to optional. This is why Stoicism emphasizes control, not over others, but over yourself. Marcus Aurelius lived by quiet discipline. He didn't react impulsively. He didn't chase outcomes. He focused on what was within his control. And in the art of asking, what's within your control is simple. How clearly you ask, how calmly you deliver it, and how disciplined you remain afterward. Nothing else. Let's be honest for a moment. Why do people chase? It's not strategy. It's emotion. It's the discomfort of uncertainty. The silence after asking feels heavy. You start thinking, what if they forgot? What if they're ignoring me? Maybe I should explain more. And that discomfort pushes you to act. But here's the truth most people don't want to accept. Silence is not your enemy. Silence is your test. And in many cases, silence is your advantage. Because when you ask once, clearly, and then stop, something powerful happens. You create space. And space creates pressure. Not aggressive pressure. Not forced pressure. But psychological pressure. Because now, they have to respond. They have to think. They have to decide. And most importantly, they have to do it without you lowering your value. But the moment you follow up too quickly, you remove that pressure. You make it easy for them to delay, to ignore, to take you less seriously. Because now they know. You'll come back. You'll remind them. You'll wait. And once that happens, your ask loses weight. This is why powerful people don't chase. They ask once, then they move. Not because they don't care, but because they respect themselves more than the outcome. Epictetus taught, "Don't seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen." This is detachment in action. You make the request. Then you release the need. And when you release the need, you regain control. Let's make this real. Imagine you ask for an opportunity. Instead of waiting calmly, you send another message the next day. "Hey, just checking if you saw my last message." Then another. "I just wanted to follow up." Then another. "I'm really interested and would love this opportunity." Each message might feel harmless, but collectively, they communicate one thing. You're chasing. Now compare that to someone who asks once, "I'd like to take this on. Here's what I can deliver." And then, silence. No follow-up. No pressure. No neediness. Days pass. But their presence remains strong. Because they didn't dilute it. They didn't overexpose it. They let it stand. That's power. That's the Stoic mindset in the art of asking. But let's go deeper. There's a hidden psychology here most people miss. When you chase, you remove mystery. When you remove mystery, you remove intrigue. And when you remove intrigue, you become predictable. And predictable people are easy to ignore. But when you ask once, and disappear into your own life, something different happens. They start thinking about you. They start wondering. They start respecting your restraint. Because restraint is rare. And rare things have value. Seneca said, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." And nothing shows a strong mind more than this. The ability to not react. The ability to not chase. The ability to sit in uncertainty, without losing control. Because that's what most people can't do. They need immediate answers. Immediate validation. Immediate reassurance. But in Stoicism, strength is patience. Strength is discipline. Strength is knowing, "I've done my part. The rest is not in my control." And once you internalize that, everything changes. You stop overthinking. You stop chasing. You stop lowering your value. And ironically, that's when people start responding. Because now, you feel different. You move different. You ask different. And people can sense it. So remember this. Ask clearly. Ask once. Then step back. Let silence do its work. Because the moment you chase your ask, you weaken it. The moment you chase your ask, you weaken it. 4. Use scarcity, not availability. Always being available kills influence. Read that again. Because it goes against everything most people believe. You've been told to be responsive. To be present. To always show up. To always be reachable. But here's the truth. When you are always available, you become easy to overlook. Because what is always there is rarely valued. This is a core principle in the art of asking, how to get whatever you want. Your presence has weight. Your time has value. Your attention has power. But only if it's limited. When you're always there, replying instantly, saying yes to everything, making yourself constantly accessible, your ask feels optional. Because people subconsciously think, they'll always be there. I can respond later. This isn't urgent. And just like that, you lose influence. Not because you lack value, but because you've made yourself too available. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And one of the biggest ways people waste their time is by giving it away too freely. In Stoicism, time is treated as a currency, a non-renewable resource, something to be protected, because once it's gone, you don't get it back. So when you protect your time, something powerful happens. People start to feel it. They sense that access to you is not automatic. And when access is not automatic, it becomes valuable. Let's break this down. Imagine two people. Person 1 replies instantly to everything. Always available. Always saying yes. Always adjusting their schedule. Person 2 is different. They respond with intention. They don't rush. They don't overcommit. They choose where to invest their time. Who do you think feels more valuable? Who do you think people take more seriously? It's not about arrogance. It's about boundaries. And boundaries are a key part of the Stoic mindset. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to focus only on what matters. Not everything deserves your time. Not everyone deserves your energy. And when you start living like that, your presence gains weight. Now let's connect this back to the art of asking. When you make a request, and your time is clearly valuable, your ask feels important. Because people know. You're not asking everyone. You're not wasting time. You've chosen this deliberately. And that changes how they respond. But when you're always available, your ask feels casual, optional, easy to ignore. Because there's no urgency, no weight, no consequence. This is why scarcity works. Not artificial scarcity. Not manipulation. But real, lived scarcity. A life where your time is structured. Where your focus is protected. Where your energy is intentional. Because when your life is full, your presence becomes rare. And rare things are respected. Let's go deeper. Scarcity also protects your emotional state. When you're always available, you become reactive. You respond to everything. You adjust to everyone. You lose control of your own rhythm. But when you create space, when you limit access, when you decide when and how you engage, you stay grounded. You stay calm. You stay in control. And that control reflects in how you ask. Because now, you're not asking from chaos. You're asking from clarity. And clarity is powerful. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastery includes your time, your availability, your presence. So if you want to master how to get whatever you want, start by mastering access to you. Because the less available you are, the more intentional your interactions become, the more weight your words carry, and the more seriously people take you. But here's the balance. Scarcity is not about disappearing. It's not about ignoring people. It's not about playing games. It's about being deliberate. Being present when it matters. And unavailable when it doesn't. That's the difference between strategy and immaturity. Because true stoicism is not reactive. It's disciplined. So next time you're about to respond instantly, pause. Next time you're about to say yes to everything, pause. Next time you're about to make yourself constantly available, pause. And ask yourself, is this aligned with my value? Is this worth my time? Because every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And when you start choosing wisely, your life changes. Your presence changes. And your ability in the art of asking changes. Because now, you're not just another voice asking for something. You're someone whose time matters. Whose presence is limited. Whose requests carry weight. The less available you are, the more valuable your ask becomes. If you're finding value in this, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below, Stoic Discipline. Because this is the mindset that separates those who are ignored from those who quietly get whatever they want. 5. Ask with calm certainty, not emotion. Emotion creates pressure. Certainty creates trust. And whether you realize it or not, every time you ask for something, people are not just listening to your words. They are reading your emotional state. They are feeling your energy. They are asking themselves one silent question. Do I trust this person? Not logically. Emotionally. Because human decisions are rarely made on logic alone. They are made on feeling. And your emotional state is the signal. When your voice is calm, steady, grounded, people feel safe saying yes. There's no tension. No pressure. No urgency that feels forced. Just clarity. Just confidence. Just control. But when you sound anxious, everything changes. Your words might be perfect. Your request might make sense. But your energy? It tells a different story. Your voice speeds up. Your tone becomes uncertain. You over-explain. You try to fill every silence. And without realizing it, you create pressure. Not intentional pressure, but emotional pressure. And pressure makes people uncomfortable. So what do? They pull away. They delay. They hesitate. Not because they don't want to say yes, but because your emotional state makes the situation feel unstable. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it." And this is the core of Stoicism and the Stoic mindset. Because in the art of asking how to get whatever you want, your reaction is everything. Not just after rejection, but during the ask itself. Let's break this down. Why do people become emotional when asking? It comes from attachment. Attachment to the outcome. Attachment to the result. Attachment to what they think this moment means. I need this opportunity. This has to work. I can't lose this. And the more attached you are, the more emotional you become. And the more emotional you become, the less control you have. And the less control you have, the less persuasive you are. Because emotion without control looks like instability. And instability breaks trust. But calm certainty? That's different. Calm certainty says, I know what I bring. I know what I'm asking. And I'm okay with any outcome. That energy is powerful. Because it removes pressure from the other person. They don't feel forced. They don't feel rushed. They don't feel like your emotional state depends on their answer. And that freedom makes them more open, more willing, more receptive. This is why in Stoicism, emotional control is not suppression. It's mastery. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. He didn't let emotions control his actions. He observed them and chose his response. And that's exactly what you must do in the art of asking. You don't eliminate emotion. You discipline it. Let's make this real. Imagine two people asking for the same thing. Person 1 says, "Hey, I was just hoping maybe if it's okay, I could." Their voice is uncertain. Their words are soft. They smile nervously. They keep talking to avoid silence. Now compare that to someone who says, "I'd like to move forward with this. Here's what I can deliver." Then they pause. No rush. No tension. No emotional leakage. Same request. Completely different impact. Why? Because one person is asking from emotion. The other is asking from certainty. And certainty builds trust instantly. But here's where it gets deeper. Calm certainty is not just about how you sound. It's about how you feel internally. Because you cannot fake calm for long. People can sense it. They can feel when your calm is real. And when it's forced. So the real work happens before the ask. You must reach a state where you are grounded. You are clear. You are detached. Detached, not indifferent. But free. Free from needing the outcome. Free from fearing rejection. Free from tying your identity to the result. This is where the art of asking how to get whatever you want becomes powerful. Because now, you're not asking to complete yourself. You're asking as someone who is already complete. And that changes everything. Your tone changes. Your posture changes. Your presence changes. And people feel it. They trust it. They respond to it. Let's go even deeper. There's a hidden reason why calm certainty works so well. It signals competence. When someone is calm under pressure, we assume they know what they're doing. When someone is emotional, we assume uncertainty. And people naturally trust competence. They lean toward it. They follow it. This is why leaders speak with calm certainty. Not loudness. Not aggression. But control. Because control creates confidence in others. And confidence leads to agreement. Now here's something most people never realize. You don't need to convince someone to say yes. You need to make them feel safe enough to agree. And safety comes from your emotional state. Not your words. Not your logic. Your state. Seneca said, "A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." And that's exactly what happens when you ask from emotion. You suffer before rejection even happens. You create anxiety before anything goes wrong. And that anxiety leaks into your delivery. But when you master your emotions, you eliminate unnecessary suffering. And your presence becomes calm, stable, trustworthy. Now let's make this actionable. Before you ask for anything, pause, take a breath, and check your state. Ask yourself, am I calm? Am I grounded? Am I okay with a no? If the answer is no, don't ask yet. Reset. Because how you ask matters more than what you ask. And when you finally speak, speak slowly. Speak clearly. Speak without rushing. And most importantly, leave space. Because calm certainty is not just in what you say. It's in what you don't say. It's in your pauses. Your silence. Your restraint. That's where your power lives. So remember this. Emotion creates pressure. Certainty creates trust. And trust is what gets you what you want. People don't say yes to desperation. They say yes to certainty. Now you understand something most people never will. The art of asking, how to get whatever you want, is not about manipulation. It's not about clever words. It's not about tricks. It's about who you become when you ask. Because think about what you've learned today. You control the frame before you speak. You guide people instead of forcing them. You ask once, and never chase. You protect your time, so your presence has value. And most importantly, you ask with calm certainty, not emotion. This is Stoicism in action. This is the Stoic mindset applied to real life. And when you combine all of this, something powerful happens. You stop seeking approval. You stop chasing outcomes. You stop lowering your value. And instead, you become someone people naturally respect. Naturally listen to. Naturally say yes to. Because in the end, you don't get what you want by asking louder. You get what you want by asking from a place of power. So now the question is simple. Will you go back to asking the way you always have? Or will you start applying the art of asking through Stoicism? If you made it this far, you're already different. So make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below, Stoic Power. And tell me, which of these 5 principles hit you the hardest? Stay with me till the end of your journey. Because this Stoic mindset will change everything.